Hi, I'm training to be an end time survivor. I'm trying to listen and learn so that I can live in the end times. Today I want to talk about Islam and Bible prophecy. Now this video lacks the graphics which we usually put with our videos in order to make them more interesting and easier to understand. We felt this was urgent, and so we did not take time for that with this video. Later, we may be able to repeat some of the material in this video more clearly within shorter, illustrated videos. The sudden rise of the Islamic State has caused many people to ask how this fits in with Bible prophecy. Unfortunately, there are few aspects of prophecy that everyone agrees on, and so people are often left to work out for themselves what some of the prophecies mean and how they will influence the way we live. The bottom line really is how they will influence the way we live. Unless prophecy can be translated into changed lives, it becomes a static and potentially dangerous area of Bible study, which is often used to promote religious bigotry and fear. We don't want to be a part of that. So I will make a number of isolated observations about Islam in this video without forming clear conclusions from any of them. Number 1. The Antichrist world government. This channel has accepted the most common teaching about which world government replaced the Greek Empire. That is the Roman Empire. We do not, however, support the belief that the final world government must be a resurrected form of the Roman Empire with its headquarters in Rome. This teaching has been particularly popular amongst those who see the Roman Catholic Church and the office of the Pope as the source for the coming Antichrist. In fact, the final world government could come from almost anywhere. Our own position is that this government will be unique, in that it will operate through the 10 rotating kings of the United Nations Security Council. Other videos on this channel go into more detail about the 5 permanent members of the Security Council to explain our conclusions. However, more and more is being said about the rise of Islam as the possible final world government. The Islamic Empire started under Muhammad, and it spread further geographically than the Roman Empire ever did, although it was never centrally unified. In the Bible, the last government is seen as being extremely cruel. Islam has, indeed, always been a cruel religion. Both of those observations could be used to cast Islam in the role of either the fourth empire or the final one. Nevertheless, we are slow to accept the arguments about Islam in general, and the Islamic State in particular being the source of the Antichrist. And the reason is that the Antichrist is not seen as evil or cruel by most of the world. In fact, he will be extremely charismatic and will bring world peace. What is more likely is that the Antichrist will be someone who brings an end to Islamic cruelty. This is one of the strange paradoxes of so much that is mentioned in the Bible about political powers. They are all evil, even though some of them are more obviously evil than others. Any attempt to form a political divide between the good people and the bad people is always going to fall short of what God wants us to see through Bible prophecy and the teachings of Jesus. Number 2. Islam and violence. Having said all that, it helps for people to understand that Islam as a whole is extremely violent. To be fair, the Old Testament includes a lot of violence too. So, if it was a dispute between the Jewish Old Testament and the Quran over who is more violent, the race would be pretty close. It is the teachings of Jesus, however, which shows both religions up as being excessively cruel and violent. Sadly, even those who claim to be following Jesus, i.e. institutional Christianity, are still, for the most part, living in the Old Testament, where they believe that God's will can be accomplished through well-equipped armies, and where they take the side of Israel even when human decency shows Israel to be morally wrong. A true Christian will recognize the authority of Jesus as being superior to the authority of any other character in the Bible. And so the bottom line, whether or not it's being practiced to the extent that it should be, is that Christianity, as Jesus taught it, is the most non-violent religion ever set up. Many Muslims will try to tell you that the Quran does not promote violence. If you quote passages from the Quran that speak of killing infidels, they will invariably tell you that such passages are only talking about acting in self-defense, or about some kind of spiritual warfare. That is when you need to ask them who is the greatest authority when it comes to interpreting the Quran. The Quran itself says that God's messenger, Muhammad, is the ultimate authority on what the Quran says. Unless Muslims are prepared to challenge that passage from the Quran, they'll be forced to admit that another book, the Hadith, largely writings of Muhammad, offer the true interpretation of what the Quran is teaching, whereas the Quran may leave some room for more peaceful interpretations. What Muhammad has said in the Hadith does not. The Islamic State is in fact preaching and practicing pure Islam, as taught by the Quran, and as taught by Muhammad. Islam not only teaches that invasions and conquests are part of carrying out God's will, but it also teaches that it's okay for Muslims to lie and to cover this up in order to deceive us infidels. I think this is important to understand, so that we will not be needlessly confused by people who argue that most Muslims are peaceful. The religion is efficiently violent, and violent to the extreme. Until they have killed us all, their holy books will not allow them to stop. Number 3, the kingdom of heaven. However, after having said all of that, the true message of Jesus is that God judges people individually and based on their own understanding of the truth. Being aligned with Christianity or with Judaism will not save anyone, and being aligned with Islam will not condemn anyone. And, of course, vice versa. Governments may go to war with one another, and the actions of the Islamic State are certainly forcing governments to do just that, but none of them represent God's judgment. God judges us each individually, and only when Jesus returns will full justice be revealed. As true followers of Jesus, we cannot expect honour from any of the governments or religions of man. Our allegiance must be entirely to the Lamb who was slain, the one who sets us an example by loving even those who tortured and killed him. Many Christians are suffering like that today under the reign of Islamic State. Others are being killed by fundamentalist Hindus in India. Persecution continues in communist China, in Africa, and in other places around the globe. The answer is not to fight back, and it certainly is not to support the one who will come to bring temporary political peace in the midst of all of this. Our answer is just to keep following the Lamb wherever he leads. Thanks for watching this video. Please click the subscribe button, and if you have thoughts to share, leave them in the comment section below.